Well, we are back for more Disney bounding story time. So I will admit right here, right now, that when it comes to accessorizing my Disney bounds, I didn't really. The thing is, I'm not very good at accessorizing in my daily life, so when I do my Disney bounds, I tend to just rely on the clothes to speak for themselves. But there was one time I got really creative with my Snow White Disney bound, and I found this little foam bird at the craft store, and I wrapped it around my finger like a ring. And let me tell you, all the characters absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic conversation starter, and Tiana couldn't stop giggling. But my favorite thing happened when I was wandering through the toy store area, and I saw that the Green Army men were out, and one of them in particular was running around trying to hide and camouflage himself. He picks up this giant leaf off the ground and puts it over his face to hide himself, and I go up to him and I take the little ring off my finger and I put it on his finger. And I don't know about you, but I can't see a Green Army man anywhere in this picture. I just see a little bird on a branch. By far one of my favorite accessories. So I've had a number of people ask or assume that I have ADHD, and though I don't mind the assumptions, and you certainly wouldn't be the first. When I was a little kid growing up in California, I had a teacher at my school ask my mom to get me tested to see if I had ADHD. And our life circumstances already had my mom kind of stressed out, and especially being a single mother, she was just like, I can't deal with another problem, and I can't even afford to get her tested, like I don't know what to do. So my mom consulted with my dad to figure out what to do, and thankfully they had a teacher friend who said, well, actually, by law, if the school is saying that Jessica needs to get tested for ADHD, then the school needs to pay for it. So they turned around and looked at the school and said, all right, you want to get her tested for ADHD? Go ahead. You do it. The school was just like, no, it's fine. We're sure she's fine. No. Cheapskates. But as I grew and developed, we realized that I didn't have ADHD. I just had a lot of energy that needed to be exercised out of me. So I mainly just ended up going outside and running around a lot. So I don't plan to have children for a number of personal reasons, but one of the factors would probably be the fact that my dad wouldn't even hold it. How do I know this? Well, he wouldn't hold either of my cousins. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like kids. I worked as a party princess for over a year. But I like other people's kids. I like being able to give them back when they tire me out. Case in point, my cousins. I have two little cousins who are super adorable, and they're actually going to come out to see me soon, and I'm so excited to see them, and I know I'll also be excited to see them leave. But I vividly remember going to see my cousins for Christmas, and I believe that the oldest was about 4 years old and the youngest was a little baby. And I had so much fun holding the baby and playing with him, and then I noticed that my dad wouldn't hold him. And I was just like, this guy can't be scared to hold a baby. Like, he held me. Like, he should be just fine. Like, what's going on here? And so I made it my mission to get my dad to hold this baby, and he wouldn't do it the entire time. And then I look over, and this man is cuddling up on the dog. And I asked him, if I had kids, you'd hold them, right? And he just went, eh. Can I please get an ice cream, please? How are you planning to pay for that? Money, please. Oh, no, Jessie. In this world, you have to earn money. Just like how you earn your snacks back home, by doing chores. Now, how do you think you can earn money here? What if I take clothes from the washer and I put it in the dryer? That's a good job. Now you better start working if you want to get that ice cream. All right, Jessie, you did a good job. Now go get your ice cream. So how do I earn more money? Why do I have a feeling I've created a monster? So say what you will about the zodiac and how it's all made up and how we shouldn't put too much stock in it, but the workaholic Capricorn stereotype certainly applies to me. And one of the best examples I can give is that when I was a kid, my dad and bonus mom hosted a cookout with all of their friends, and it was a fairly large party, and I found an opportunity to make some money. There was a cooler at this party that had one of those little attachments where you could take the beer and, pop off the lid from it, and I thought this was extremely fun. But obviously, since I was probably like 6 years old, I wasn't allowed to have beers. But of course, there were a bunch of adults who could drink beer, and I would go up to them and ask, hey, could I pop the lid off your beer for you? And one of these adults made the fatal mistake of giving me a tip for doing this. To which, of course, my reaction was, I can make money? So then, of course, I went to every adult and asked them if I could open their beers for them too, and then I started playing hostess and started getting beers for the adults, and my parents finally put a stop to it whenever our guests were getting a little too sloshed. But boy, that night did I make it rain. Alright, so there are your keys for the room. Now, did you have a car you need to park with us? Yeah, I'm in one of those spaces up front. There's a sign that says something like hotel guests only. I think I'm good to park there. Well, actually, those signs say that those parking spots are for residents only, not hotel guests. We're right across from some condos, and those parking spots are for the people who live in those condos, not for our hotel. No, sweetie, I'm pretty sure those spaces are for hotel guests. The only parking spaces our hotel offers are in the back and our gated lot. The sign clearly says it's for hotel hotel guests. Well, for the year that I've worked here, those spots have been residents only. Well, they must have changed it and just not told you. Here, I'll go outside and I'll take a picture for you, okay, honey? Okay, yeah, please do. Okay, I'll be right back and you'll see. That's what I thought. So I'm currently at my parents' house sitting for them while they're away and taking care of this little bug. Hello, goodbye. And I am eating all their food while I'm at it. And I look into one of their drawers trying to find a utensil to eat their food with. And I look down and I think, why do they have a TikTok cookie cutter? And then I think to myself, sweetheart, it's not a TikTok cookie cutter. It's a musical note. It's a musical note. I am so lucky my parents are not here, because if I had opened that drawer and looked at them and asked why they had a TikTok cookie cutter, I would have never heard the end of it. So it's no secret that when I go to Disney, one of my favorite things to do is to meet the characters. But what's funny is when I was a kid, I almost never met the characters at Disney because my parents wanted to just go on the roller coasters and then get out. So I didn't get into meeting characters until I was already an adult, and the reason was because I got a job working as a princess for kids parties. So after I got that job, I started going to Disney and meeting characters kind of as research. I would ask the characters questions that maybe I'd get asked as a princess just so I could see what the Disney trained people would say. But then I found myself genuinely enjoying meeting the characters and interacting with them and just having fun ad-libby conversations. So even when I stopped working for the party company as a princess, I would still go and meet characters just because it was fun to do. And I've had people ask me, well, what do you talk about with characters when you're an adult? Like, what do you say to them? And the thing is, if I couldn't think of a question to ask a character when I went to go meet them, I would just Google it. One time I Googled a question to ask Alice, and when I went up to meet her, I used the question that I found, which was, Miss Alice, what's your favorite tea? And she said, oh, why, curiosity, of course. Which has got to be one of my favorite answers. So if you can't think of a question, Google's your friend. So today is my favorite unofficial holiday, Discount Candy Day, otherwise known as Day After Valentine's Day. And the store opened about 5 minutes ago, so let's go in.
Yeah, full selection, baby. Yes. Duh. Should I get this to display it all in? Like, I'm thinking yes. Don't try to hide the cute stuff from me. Ooh, is that little heart hiding? Aw, that's so cute. Okay, that should be enough candy to put me in a coma. True. Yep. And for all that,
I'm just gonna fill those up in my car because it's 7 a.m. in a Publix parking lot and I have nothing better to do. All right, so we've got Nerds and Sweet Tarts, some Airheads. I'm gonna top it off with chocolate.
Diabetes.
All right, tips for your very first princess party ever. This one may seem obvious, but please make sure you are doing all the research you possibly can on the character you're going to be playing. If you're playing a character like Ariel, make sure you watch all 3 of her movies, take a peek at her TV show, and maybe even watch her appearance in Sophia the First. Like, do that much research. Because kids will find and reference the most obscure, random things you would ever think of. My second tip is to give yourself plenty of time to get ready, probably more than you think you need, because in the end, if you mess up your eyelashes or maybe have trouble putting on your wig, it's much better to have too much time than too little time. My final tip, your company probably already does this, or if you're starting your own company, you may want to do this. You will want to have a set schedule of everything that's going to happen pretty much minute by minute at your party so you know where you're supposed to be at what time. At my company, usually we would start with the greeting, then do a story time, then take pictures, then move on to 1 or 2 activities, then sing happy birthday, cut the cake, and the princess would leave. Oh, and if a kid asks you a question you don't know how to answer with your own question. Thank you for the reminder, Mom. When I was a kid, my mom used to brew her own black coffee in batches and then keep it in the fridge, and she would use the most delicious creamer, so I was obsessed with her coffee. And of course, since I was a child, I was rarely ever allowed to even have a sip of her coffee because we knew what it would do to me. But there was one day, probably when I was about 9 or 10, where I was going to be home alone, and Mom had asked me to go ahead and, tidy up the house a bit for her, so I asked, hey, could I please have the last little bit of coffee that's in the fridge then? And she was like, yeah, sure. So she leaves her work, and I use her creamer to make a delicious coffee, and I guzzle it down. And then I proceed to clean the house from top to bottom, moving rugs and furniture and everything. I mean, I was on a roll. I was having a great time. Right up until I try to sit down and relax after cleaning all day and watch some cartoons, and I can't physically sit down. Did I mention that her coffee was like jet fuel? I ended up getting really scared that I couldn't sit down and calling Mom at work going, what's wrong with me? And Mom was like, never again. I got the wavy kind of mirror, and I got 3 of them. They're from IKEA, and sadly they don't sell them anymore. But these weird wavy mirrors are where I did my very first story time for TikTok ever, and ever since then it's been where I've done them, and I honestly don't feel comfortable doing them anywhere else. Like the kitchen on my floor is where story time happens, period. I like to reserve my bathroom mirror for chaos and mental breakdown, so I don't do story times here. My wardrobe mirror is about the same size as my wavy mirrors, but it's just boring. It's just a straight rectangle. Who wants to do a story time in that? And my downstairs mirror is very pretty and kind of, aesthetically pleasing, but there's a window right behind me and a forest beyond, and I just feel like something is staring at me. Start going back upstairs before some demonic eyes start glowing at me. And as for using my front camera to film, no, please don't make me. Please don't. So I think this is good for me. I think my wavy mirrors are where it's at. Yes, I actually really wanted to work for Disney when I was younger. When I first entered college, I was a business major just because it sounded like it'd make me money and I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then I was talking to a friend and I said, yeah, I think I want to work for Disney one day. And she said, well, then why aren't you a hospitality major? And I was like, a what now? So right then and there, I changed my major to hospitality and I thought I'd go work for Disney, but the stars just never quite aligned. I tried to audition to be a Disney princess and I didn't get the job, and I was waiting for the right position to be posted in the parks, but while I was waiting, I ended up getting a contact at a hotel who said that he could get me a job, and I was like, well, I need one of those. I did want to work at a theme park still, but at that point in my college career, I'd heard some not very pleasant things about working at Disney. It seemed very 50-50. Either people loved working at Disney or they hated working at Disney, and since I liked going to the park so much, I didn't want to risk coming to hate Disney. So I decided to go work for Universal instead, because if I ended up hating Universal, it wasn't much of a loss. But then I decided I didn't like theme parks, so I went back to hotels, and right now I like my job where I'm at, but maybe I'll end up working in a Disney hotel. I don't know. Hello friends, I'm back with another Disney bounding story. So I always say that when you want to start Disney bounding, the best thing to do is to look into your own closet, and also when you're going out shopping, if you see a piece of clothing that you like and it also reminds you of a character, then maybe think about how you could tie that in and make it into a Disney bound. And one day I was out shopping and I found this kind of fun little corsety type thing, and it reminded me a little bit of the top that Aurora wears when she's Briar Rose in the forest. So I found a little brown shirt to put under it, and I went closet shopping in my bonus mom's closet and found a skirt and scarf to put over my head to kind of mimic her scarf. And overall, I think the effect turned out pretty good. Sleeping Beauty absolutely loved it. But I didn't stop there. When I was finished over at Magic Kingdom, I decided, I'm not really quite done with Disney yet. I think I'll go to Hollywood Studios and meet Kylo Ren. And when I parked at Hollywood Studios, I took off the brown undershirt and I put the scarf over my head almost like a cowl, and I looked a bit like a Star Wars character. Like, I don't know about you, but this gives me young Padawan in training vibes. But do remember that in the end, Disney bounding is all about feeling like you're part of the magic and just having fun. It's been a while since I've had a Princess Party Time story, and this one's a doozy. So I've talked before about how being the guinea pig for new things isn't always the best when it comes to princess parties. In my other guinea pig story, I talked about how I debuted Anna's coronation dress from Frozen and how it did not go well. Basically, the dress kept running too low and the wig was like a helmet. But I volunteered for that one, right? Like, I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. Well, this time I was also for a party and I had an Anna, and my boss approaches us and says, hey guys, we're gonna try a different activity this time. And we were both just like, okay, sure, what are we doing? And she said, well, the kids are gonna be making you two into snowmen, now get on your knees. So Anna and I kneel on the floor and the kids run around us, wrapping us in toilet paper. It honestly wouldn't have been too bad if I wasn't worried about my hair peeking through my wig and the kids didn't keep stepping on my dress, and having little tiny kid hands all over me wasn't, something made of nightmares. I'm smiling, but my eyes are screaming for help. Thankfully, that activity was never done again, but I'm still traumatized.